It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? If you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. Choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Three Terrible Gamers podcast. This is episode 118. I'm here with Colin.
Hey guys.
Voice is a little hoarse, but just get through the episode and be all right. We have two left over from last week, and then we'll get into some fresh ones. So Sony has released the PS2 final sales numbers.
20 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they done this just because Nintendo was creeping up on them for the most, the Switch being the most sold console over time, because PS2 obviously had that title. Well, an estimate of that title for the longest time.
Yeah.
But Sony was just like, okay, so they're technically getting close, or what they were saying was close. So we're going to go ahead and release our final numbers. That way they know what it is. The new goal to shoot for Nintendo right before, next 4 months potential news about the Switch 2. But anyways, on the actual topic itself, Sony recently revealed that the PS2 has sold over 160 million consoles worldwide since its release in 2000. Reigniting the old question among fans of how many units have actually been made. As backed up by one PlayStation alumni, it might not be much more than what's been sold. Got that from Game Rant. So yeah, like I said, it makes sense that they do that. Yet again, don't know how companies can keep that stuff congealed for so long for the actual thing of it.
Well, they've had it. Okay, so they've added 5 million onto it since March. Because in March it said the PS2 had sold 155 million. So I think Sony's just pulling stuff out of their hind end since Nintendo's getting closer and closer. So once Nintendo gets 150, 155, Sony's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, we found 5 more million sales that we forgot to post."
Like, what are you guys counting at this point? Resales from individual to individual?
Probably. It wouldn't surprise me if they would, do like a restock of PS2s and start selling them just to add up to that total.
I mean, they already have a PS1 Classic Edition, so it wouldn't be that far of a stretch.
I know.
But for it to be considered that, it would actually have to be the console with disc and not the Classic.
To keep it the highest selling console of all time, they would do it. I mean, and next year is the 25th anniversary of the PS2, so
I would definitely buy,
I would buy it.
In a heartbeat. I'm not a PlayStation fan by any means, but that is the one PlayStation console I did love the most.
PS2 is a good console. Before Sony started being Sony.
Yeah. Yeah, up until I switched to Xbox in like 2012, I had a Sony or a PlayStation for the longest time, and constantly switched back and forth from that and my GameCube.
Yeah. As kids, we always switched between, and then you'd have a certain game for PS2 where I'd have it for the GameCube or vice versa,
Yeah. Like the SpongeBob games, for instance.
Yeah, you had it for GameCube, I had it for PS2.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, they're, like you said, in the past 9 months, they've changed their numbers from somehow gained 5 million, which, yet again, I don't know why there's not a way of necessarily like, companies, especially in today's time. I'm thinking, of course, this was almost 25 years ago, but there should be a quality control thing of you knowing how many actually got pushed out.
Right.
Like companies shouldn't necessarily be able to keep it like a super secret that way.
Right. But in doing that, they can tack on a few million here and there as they please doing that, like
I
they
guess
have.
so, but I don't guess there's like an outside agency looking in at gaming companies for that type of stuff though.
I guess not. Just I figure they probably figure, there shouldn't be a need for it because companies should be truthful on what they sell, but
Yeah. Which I mean, at the end of the day, I don't guess it matters one way or another in that technical sense of it. It's
no.
just because I mean, it is just a thing. Nintendo's technically going for a record for having this console out for so long, and unlike the PS2, they, you know, PS2s were still selling after the PS3 came out,
A long time after the PS3 came out.
which I'm sure Nintendo will wind up doing the same thing with the Switch. I don't think they're just going to stop making Switches when the Switch 2 finally releases.
No.
And, it's also one of those things where Switch Lights and everything gets counted as Switch sales.
Right.
And
Yeah, it's
even when they stop making the original Switch, they'll still probably make Switch Lights because that's basically a free handheld console that goes anywhere.
yeah, until they come out with some sort of Switch 2 Lite to replace that.
So it'll
Um
just probably be 2 or 3 more years at least, I
I
would say.
think the Switch will end up passing the PS2 because especially after the Switch 2 does come out, the current Switch and Switch OLED will take a huge discount price, and anybody that doesn't have one will get one, and parents will get that for their kids that don't already have a Switch or something. Because a lot of parents do the last gen console, like they don't buy their kids the newest console; they do a gen behind. So
hmm Until they're like old enough, but like starting out kids in gaming.
right, like we talked about getting Zachary a Switch Lite, for
Yeah.
Christmas this year, but
And our generation is a little bit different because the consoles were more sturdy.
that's true. You could, I mean, I don't know how many times when I was little, GameCube or PS2, you pull them off the shelf or
Yeah.
something because of the cord. You get excited or get mad and you jerk the controller, and here goes your console. And the game
Yeah.
never skipped a beat; it just kept going.
Yeah. Well, if you drop a switch, there's a chance you're going to shatter your screen,
Yeah,
just like a phone.
yep,
And then who knows, like with the Xbox and PlayStations, especially with the whole stuff turning into liquid metal on the PlayStation, especially if you manage to hit it one time. I said they're just
yeah,
not built like they're used to.
no, and I think that comes from being wireless now too. They're made to sit on a shelf and not to be knocked off. There's Of
hmm
course, they're going to be because kids and cats, dogs, whatever, are going to knock stuff off if it's low enough, but they're not made up to that type of security like they used to be because they don't take that into perspective anymore.
Yeah, you don't got to worry about somebody jerking their controller or something entangled up.
Yeah,
Like worst case scenario, which still people try to hide their power cords as much as possible, no matter where you're at. So generally, your power cord is usually the only cord you have to worry about getting tripped over.
right. Yeah, and it's usually behind your entertainment center or whatever, so you don't usually see it. All right, but these numbers, if you guys were wondering where we got the information or why they're releasing the information, is Sony, where it's their 30th anniversary since they released the PS1 in Japan. They released a history website of their console, so they have all their consoles and all their sales numbers for every console. So if you're interested in that, go check it out. It's a pretty cool website. Moving on, Steam's 2021 antitrust lawsuit is now a class action lawsuit.
That means pretty much that every developer on Steam is now suing Valve to an extent, or if they decide to partake into it.
Yeah, that's
But so
nice.
the lawsuit, originally filed in 2021, now encompasses all persons or entities who have sold games on Steam since 2017. The antitrust lawsuit filed against Valve by Woodfire Games in 2022. I don't know why it says 2022 instead of 2021, which I guess if it was at the end of the year or whatever,
Yeah.
has now been certified as a class action, and that could be a real headache for Valve. So anytime antitrust things comes out, that's when a court pretty much rules that they violated some sort of code or ethic for the actual thing in hand. Like, this is off gaming topic a little bit, but I think the most recent one for like people that's not gamers and pretty much every day to day people would deal with regardless. Which I don't think if you're not a gamer, you don't typically listen to our podcast. But Mastercard recently had one, and I think Visa as well for like ATM charges. That's a class action lawsuit because technically there's not supposed to be a charge at the ATM.
And almost everybody. I mean,
Yeah,
every single one does have one.
and that's when courts will hop in and be like, "Well, no, that shouldn't be a case." You know, that should just be a general rule of thumb is this shouldn't happen.
Right.
So that's pretty much what happened in this. There's not extreme details in this case yet, even though it got filed 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago. Well, I guess it would be 3 years ago because it was 2022 when it technically went into circulation. So yeah, basically 3 years at this point. So what pretty much happened was Steam/Valve violated some sort of developer rules and who sold on the platform, which means all developers can go after them if they wanted to.
Yeah. Um Yes, it says the case was dismissed in November of 2021, but Wolffire was given 30 days to amend and refile its complaint, and so it did, bringing the case back to life in 2022.
Gotcha.
Um, yeah, every developer could go after Valve, but I don't see that being the case. Obviously, not every single one, and I'd say at the end of the day, Steam will just or Valve will just have to pay some kind of payment to all the developers, some kind of fine or something
Oh yeah.
when this is all, in which they have the money. Valve obviously owns Steam, and they make a lot of money from that platform. They own Steam Deck, which made a crap ton of money. They got the money for whatever the court. So I don't see Steam shutting down or anything crazy like that. I just see
No.
them having to pay some sort of heavy fine.
Yeah. Typically, how that works is it's not necessarily fine because it's like if I was to sue you, I would come after your assets or whatever.
Yeah, just
So
some kind of settlement.
yeah, it'll basically be a settlement that depends which developers and how much each developer like partook in the sales of it or whatever. They would get a certain cut from that allotted amount.
Yeah,
So if there was, say, there was 1 million developers. I'm just going to make the math simple, and the settlement was $1 million. Each developer, in theory, would get $1
yeah,
for it. So it's you get a certain cut, and the more people that file for it, the less money you technically make.
right.
But the
Yes.
courts will decide whatever the X amount is in the future, which we'll probably wind up covering once it comes to a final close.
Trying to see if it said exactly what Valve did. Um, it says the ruling certifies the class as all persons or entities who directly or through an agent paid a commission to Valve in connection with the sale or use of a game on Steam platform on or after January 28, 2017, and continuing through the present until the effects of its scheme are eliminated, and where either one, the person or entity was based in the United States and its territories, or two, the game was purchased or acquired by a United States-based consumer during the class period. The commission would be Valve's cut on sales made through Steam, which starts at 30% and drops to 20% as sales increase. Valve defended the percentage as industry standard when Wolfire's lawsuit was first filed, but that's no longer the case. The Epic Game Store and Microsoft both take just 12% of sales made through their stores. So basically, it's an Epic and Apple fight. It sounds like Apple wants 30% when it comes to purchases made on their platform, the App Store. But apparently now industry standard is just 12 instead of 30. So that's why developers are able to sue the store holders for having such a high margin.
Okay, so that makes sense.
So it's just a Fortnite Apple situation.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's just a lot more people involved because how many independents are actually selling on Steam? A lot.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot more games and people buying games on Steam than there are on the App Store. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people with iPhones, but most apps are free on, the App Store. So just Apple and Fortnite all over again, pretty much.
Yep. Oh, a lot more people.
Yeah. The next one is just a little short topic, just to update you guys on the new Sega Genesis games that are available on Nintendo Switch Online.
Well, one Nintendo Switch Online, it says free classics, even though I've never heard of a single one of these ones. Which I don't guess I was technically a Sega Genesis kid, but the most recently added Nintendo Switch Online Genesis titles are Vector Man, Wolf of the Battlefield, Mercs, and Toe Jam and Earl in Panic of Funkotron.
Oh yeah.
While each of these titles is sure to have a dedicated fan base excited about the games now being playable on the Switch, the Toe Jam and Earl sequel is arguably one of the more interesting titles of the bunch, having become a cult classic in the wake of its initial poor critical and fan reception at launch.
When you visit Arizona, time is measured in moments, not minutes. Like the moment your work stress disappears as you kayak through the canyons. Or the moment you discover the life-changing effects of prickly pear chocolate. But nothing beats the moment you see the Grand Canyon for the very first time. Visit a new state of mind. Learn more at hereyouareaz.com.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
So the only one I've heard of is Toe Jam and Earl. There's a few games in that series, but
That's a sequel, so I'm assuming this is a second game in the series.
yeah.
I hadn't heard of a single one of these.
I'm pretty sure Toe Jam and Earl was the name of the first one, just Toe Jam and Earl. Could be wrong on that because Elizabeth had the Sega Genesis when I was little, so I played a lot of Sega Genesis games, but I still wasn't necessarily a Sega Genesis kid. I was more of a Nintendo kid, so.
Yeah, it's
Or PlayStation.
Yeah, really the only Genesis I really played growing up at all was, ironically enough, at the orthodontist. Because they had one in there while you was in the waiting room you could play, which, I mean, it was basically a free arcade version of the Genesis, but it had, Echo the Dolphin, had Sonic,
Yeah.
it had different titles, and I don't remember that being one of the titles you could play. Oh, did you see? I know you didn't put it at the topic, but did you see where Sega dropped the list? It was yesterday at time of recording, so Friday the 6th, they had released that they're no longer doing sales for like Crazy Taxi and stuff like that.
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Yeah, they completely deadlisted like a group of games like considered classics to our era.
Hmm.
But yeah, like Crazy Taxi is no longer a purchasable item on any online site or anything now, unless you buy a physical copy from somebody.
I wonder if that's a sign of some kind of remake coming soon.
Yeah, I didn't think of it like that.
That way, when they come out with it, that's the only version that you can get is the remastered
Yeah,
version,
it's true. Can't go back and play the original.
right? Unless you emulate it.
Yeah, that's true. That's why it's a good thing to have.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a possibility. It would make sense that they would do that for that reason, make more money that way.
Yeah, it's basically all their old classic titles that wasn't Sonic.
Yeah.
Which Crazy Taxi is the only one. There was like four of them in that article, but Crazy Taxi is the only one I remember because it's the only one I played growing up that was outside of Echo and Sonic.
Was Altered Beast on there?
That one does sound familiar.
You say that's another heavy hitter, popular one.
But yeah, I seen it a couple hours ago. After you'd already said the topics, I was like, ooh, I was like, he must have missed that one. I was like, because he
Yeah, I
would
didn't see
definitely
that
miss
one.
that one.
Didn't see it.
I was like, well, we do got a second topic. I was like, so I'll just sprinkle it in there
Yeah. Yeah,
as a free
didn't see
bonus,
it.
even a surprise to Ashton.
Yeah, nice surprise. All right. So no, not only is Nintendo going after Twitch streamers, YouTubers, and emulators, they're going after individual users on piracy Reddit threads, specifically
Oh,
this Switch piracy Reddit thread.
don't post stuff online if it's illegal activities.
Yeah.
It's a tale as old as time with Nintendo.
Yep.
Nintendo continues its legal campaign against piracy by seeking more individuals involved, including associates known as modder. James Archbox Williams is, I believe, one of those Redditors.
Yes.
Uh, Legal battles include a recent lawsuit against modded hardware for selling of the Mig Switch device, also, which we've covered that before in the past, and Nintendo's pursuit of enforcing intellectual property rights remaining strong as the company prepares for the launch of the Switch's successor. The only thing I disagree, obviously they have a right to protect what's theirs and everything else in the piracy, especially still in the Switch era.
Right.
You have a snake inside your building. The ROMs are getting released 2 to 3 weeks before these games are even coming out for you guys. But yet you want to go after individual users that just so happen to use what somebody in your company released early.
Yep. Yep. That's what it is. Like, I
Makes
understand a game leaking 2 or 3 days early, but Echoes of Wisdom and Mario and Luigi Brothership, they released couple weeks ahead.
a couple weeks. And Tears of the Kingdom was a whole week.
Yeah. That doesn't just
And that's
happen
going to be the most
without
major.
somebody on the inside doing it.
Yeah. And that's going to be the most major 3D Zelda title for probably still another 5 or 6 years at least.
Yeah.
and it still came out a week early. And then Echoes of Wisdom was what, a week and a half, 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and
And
then
Mario and Luigi Brothership, it was 3 weeks.
I think so.
It was a long time.
So they want to go after these people, but literally their security is not even in place for their own company.
And really, there's no way to stop it on the inside.
Nah.
I mean, yeah, you can take
Oh,
people's
you think
phones
you're-
and everything. Yeah, that's fine, but that's not going to stop. These people are smart. They can upload it to whatever they want while they're in there.
almost not traceable.
Yeah.
And obviously they're going after easy targets because these guys are posting stuff on Reddit.
Yeah. And
Like, oh,
usually Reddit is one of the safer places to post stuff because nobody checks Reddit hardly, like company wise, until
well, that
now.
is
Nintendo is.
well, that and Reddit is like the modern day Wikipedia before Wikipedia got its stuff together and actually a decently reliable source now.
Yeah.
Because Reddit is most of the time a lot of people's opinions or stuff,
Right.
opposed to true studied facts. But I mean, yet again, it's kind of cut and dry for showing or acting on how to get certain hardware or mods for games to work properly on systems.
Yeah.
So I mean, that stuff is legit. It's just not in the right sense and easy for Nintendo to attack them.
Right. Yeah. As somebody that mods consoles and stuff like that, like it sucks to see individuals get hit by Nintendo, but I understand Nintendo has the right to defend their property, and that's fine. But like you said, they should address what's having some internal interference. They should try to address that too, so these individuals wouldn't have the opportunity
Yeah.
to, show off ROMs early and stuff like that.
Like the main Switch, it was its own little thing, anyways. It was a guy basically just had an emulator dump and had a bunch of Switch titles just on one cartridge
Yeah.
or one SSD drive.
Yeah. We knew that was getting hit by Nintendo. I mean,
Yeah.
he
They was
knew he
going
was
to
getting hit by
play from
Nintendo
it.
when he released it.
Yeah. But as far as like actual piracy for, being able to get ROMs off your computer and stuff, that's really pushing it because you should fix that issue inside before you go after individuals.
Yeah.
It's not our fault you just happen to stumble across it in the wild.
The Nintendo ninjas.
Yeah. It's like, this is here. I can use it. It may not be the right thing to do, but I'm going to pay for this thing anyways. I may as well get to play it early.
Yeah.
Because, like I
So,
said, I look at it like an emulator at that point.
right. So it says, no, not only did Williams get sued for piracy and copyright infringement, he lost a default judgment against Nintendo after failing to represent himself in court.
He knew he didn't have a case,
Right.
or he couldn't afford the lawyers from the fines and everything that they was already trying to push on him.
And it says Nintendo seeks to basically search the business records of websites like Reddit, Discord, and GitHub as part of its investigation. So basically, it's going to try to scrub all of those websites to get any information of piracy, which on all three of those, there is an absolute crap ton.
I guarantee, yeah. Discord probably more than Reddit.
Yeah.
Because Reddit's a general post thing, and Discord is more of a direct message
for specifically
situation.
gaming.
Hmm.
And GitHub is, I don't know if you've ever dealt with GitHub much, but I use it all the time. It's a good place to get apps and different things for different software and programs for modding and stuff like that. It's not just for modding, but like they have some good, for example, they have some good individual made podcasting apps on there. Like that's not released from a major company. It's just an individual that's good at coding made a podcasting app. So it's not all modding and gaming related, but it's just basically any individual that comes up with some kind of program can put it on GitHub.
Still like a Wild West of stuff like that, software.
Yeah. So it's a good place to get stuff, but yeah, there's some illegal stuff on there from individuals. GitHub and Reddit and Discord won't get hit by Nintendo. It's the individuals posting that content that'll get hit.
Which, I mean, is the people you technically should go after if you're going for that stuff.
Right. Yeah. Reddit and Discord and GitHub, they shouldn't get hit
No,
by. They
'cause,
shouldn't
they
lose
have
money.
moderators, but you're not going to, because, and like I said, it's more of a opinion-based thing than what it is an actual logic-based thing sometimes. So, the moderators have to put it in with a grain of salt, like how much of truth is this?
Right.
And that's not their job to dig in for Nintendo or any other company.
Right.
As long as it passes their community guidelines, that's all that matters.
Yep. Exactly. And I know we're pretty much out of time, but just one more thing I'll say. I think the reason that Nintendo's cracking down on Switch emulation so hard right now is because where the Switch 2 is getting ready to come out, I think that basically since it's just an upgraded Switch, it's going to be easy to crack and emulate just like the Switch is. So, say for Yuzu and Ryujinx, for example, if they didn't take those down, all Ryujinx or Yuzu would have to do is make some kind of small update and it could run Switch 2 games right out of the gate. So I think
It'll
that's
still
why.
happen. It's
It'll
just
still
how-
happen, but they're just making it known that they're looking for individuals that are going to do that type of stuff and they're going to sue the crap out of them. Try to put
Especially
the
since
fear into people, and you have those people that don't care and they're going to do it anyway. And I mean, that's fine by me. I get, to play emulation, but that's my theory on it anyways. Why Nintendo, because why else would Nintendo be doing this type of stuff at the tail end of the Switch's life cycle? Yeah, I get it. That's their main source of income still, but they're getting money from it. Why else would they be going at it this hard if that wasn't the case?
Especially when they have bigger fish to fry with internal issues.
Right. But guys, that's all the time we have. We appreciate you for listening. Follow our podcast socials. Got a Discord, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, pretty much all of them. Buy our merch on Redbubble and TeePublic. Colin, do you have anything?
I think that's it. Later, guys.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Catch you in the next episode.
How to have fun, anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.